What is up, y'all, and welcome back. So I filmed this intro like 3-4 times, and every time it has just not hit the way that I envisioned it. And I really want this video to go exactly, you know, as I am envisioning it. And it's a bit of it's a little impromptu, but I know that it's going to help whoever it is that comes across this video and has been feeling the exact same way that I have been for about a little over a year now, which has been extremely unmotivated, extremely overstimulated, extremely overwhelmed, and what I felt was a little bit of depression. So a lot of you know I became debt-free in 2020 officially, and I had been on that journey for 4 long years. I had created my identity and pretty much a whole entire business concept around debt freedom, not intentionally, but God just blessed it that way. And so when I became debt free, I felt like, you know, I didn't know who I was. Like, who am I? I'm not on a debt free journey anymore. You know, what am I going to be able to share? What am I going to be able to talk about? What am I going to do? You know, that was my main focus for 4 long years. And a piece of me had to die whenever I became debt free. And so it kind of spiraled me out of control because I did not have a specific focus for years. And although I was still creating content at this time, still on Instagram, you know, still creating content on YouTube, I was still feeling very lost, very confused. I knew that I had to now find something else to focus on, but I did not really know what that next step was after debt freedom, because I did not really have a good grasp of who I was. I had, you know, grown throughout the 4 years that I was trying to pay off debt, and literally debt freedom became my whole entire life. My whole life revolved around this. And so trying to find a whole new focus after that was very hard. And I got into the space where I was just doing nothing. I was doing nothing. I was, of course, reaping the benefits of, you know, all of the seeds that I had planted before. But in the season of doing nothing and being still and just wanting the world to be quiet, I fell into a pit of complacency. I fell into a lack of consistency and a lack of motivation. And it wasn't until recently that I really feel like God kicked me in the butt, and he gave me the fire that I used to have. I was someone who was an overworker, and that came from a lot of trauma, but it's something that made me feel good, and it's something that pushed me, and it's something that gave me a little bit of purpose. And so this was a whole new thing for me. And so mind you, I am in this space for over a year of just trying to figure out what's next, not being able to stay consistent, not feeling motivated. I don't have that fire lit under me anymore. And I remember praying to God, like, is this it? Like, am I going to die and never be motivated and excited about anything for the rest of my life? Like, I'm driving in my car and I say that in my mind, and I'm like, am I never going to be excited about anything, working or striving towards anything? Like, am I going to die and still be in this headspace where nothing excites me? Like, I feel like I have a little glimpse of optimism, but then it's not really what I want. And so I'm just right back in a space of just feeling like I'm rotting, you know, in my bed. And it got to the point where I thought that I had chronic fatigue. I'm getting testing done because I am glued to my bed, and I felt like I had no purpose. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was presented with like the divine opportunity to help a loved one. And so for 6 whole days, I didn't know it was going to take me 6 whole days. So I'm working from sun up till sundown, doing this thing that I'm needing to do to help this loved one while this loved one is away. I'm really wanting this loved one to come back, excited about, you know, the things that I have done or what I was working on while she was gone. And although I was still tired, I had purpose. Like, I felt like I had purpose. I was consistent. I was working towards an end goal. I had a vision again, and I was going all in behind that vision. It felt good to have an end goal, and I'm working to breathe life into the vision so that, you know, the vision comes to fruition, like in the actual physical. And even though I'm still tired, I'm not in the bed anymore. I'm not rotting in the bed. I'm not doing the bare minimum work that I need to do to keep my head above water. Like, I'm going above and beyond. And it was literally after those 6 days, I thought when I came home and I got back into my regular routine that I was going to go and just fall back into the dark valley that I felt like I'd been walking, you know, alone. And it completely changed. Like, something in me clicked, and that motivation that I felt while I was there and I was being of service, I got to carry that motivation back with me into my routine. And so some of you may have noticed, like with shorts, I've been very consistent. I've been talking about being consistent and showing up, and I deserve to know what happens, you know, if I stay consistent to my plan and I don't give up on myself. I deserve to know what happens after that. And I'm deserving of consistency, and my kids deserve to reap the benefits of my consistency. And I was listening to something, I think it was with Megan Ashley, and she said, "You're not depressed, you're disobedient." And it was like, you know, depression is very real. Depression is real, but I feel like in my case, at least, it went hand in hand with being disobedient in regards to not fully walking into the version of myself that I know God sees me as, right? There's this version of ourselves that we create in this life, you know, and of course our outer experiences and everything have all played a role into the version of ourselves that we've created, but there's also another version of you that God has created. So the divine created you before you were created. So there's that version of you, and then there's the version of you that, you know, we've created. We've allowed the things that we say to ourselves to speak truth and have dominion over how we view ourselves in the mirror. And that was the version that I was going off of. I was going off of the version of me that I had created, that I had allowed my experiences to create, that I had allowed other people, you know, their opinions about me and my experiences in life. That I allowed those things to help me create. And so my routine and my consistency and my vision was all based on the wrong version. But in my quest to find God, and not finding God, you know, through a book or through someone else giving a sermon, like really going and seeking God for myself, because I want to know God for myself. I want to know God for real. And my perception of God may be different from yours because I have that personal, unique relationship. In my quest to find the divine, I've also found the version of me that was washed out by life and life's experiences and people that I have been around. I found that version of me, and I found that version of me when I was walking in my purpose and in my truth and doing what I prayed to God that He allowed me to do, which is to be of service. And some of you may have heard me say that, you know, before. I want to be of service. I want to be able to give, da 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 da. And when you say things like you're gonna be put to the test. Like, don't ever say anything out loud, especially not on the internet, if you do not want to be tested. And so those 6 long days of being there from the morning to the night and pouring money into this act of service, through those 6 long days, I had been tested, and I knew that I was being tested, and I did everything in my power to make sure that I passed the test. And as I'm going through this, like, I'm tired, my feet are hurting, but I'm going to bed and I'm full and I'm smiling and I'm happy and I'm getting up and I'm moving and I'm working towards a vision. And all of those days breathe life back into the version of me that God had created and intended me to be walking through. And going back to me saying, you're not depressed, you're just disobedient, or being disobedient. I was 100% being disobedient, and I saw that I was being disobedient because when I'm doing acts of service, or I'm getting up and I'm staying committed to the vision that God has given me in my head, and I'm actively, moving my feet and walking towards it, even if I don't know how I'm going to afford everything, even if I don't know, the final outcome, even if I don't know the ins and outs of how I'm going to do this thing, I'm still getting up day in and day out, and I'm walking towards that vision. I'm walking towards that goal. I was not doing that before. I was being disobedient to the version of me that He has created. And so in turn, I was feeling out of place. I was feeling a lack of motivation. I was feeling lost, and I was searching for purpose. And that's all because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know what your walk of life is, but all I know is that we all have these visions in our mind. Like, we all have these images, which are given to us. We all have these things that we really want to accomplish, but maybe we're too scared to walk towards that vision or goal. Or maybe we told ourselves, because of past experiences and what we've heard people say about us, that, we can't do these things. And when you do that, like, of course you're going to feel lost. Of course, you're going to feel a lack of motivation. Of course, you're going to feel anger. You're going to be finding yourself in pits of envy, especially when you're scrolling through social media. And that's because you're being disobedient. You're not stepping fully into the version of you that God has called you to be. And we all have different versions. We all have different purposes. But if you're not walking within that purpose, or not even you trying to find your purpose, so that's a journey and walk in itself. But you just not walking towards, that vision that you have in your mind that will not leave you alone. I have no script, so I'm just honestly saying things off the top of my dome and what's in my heart to share, because I feel like having a platform with any number of people comes with, a large level of responsibility that I don't feel like a lot of people take into consideration or care to take into consideration. But I always want to put out something that is of substance, and to be intentional about what I am saying. So I really do pray that I am making sense. But I cured my lack of motivation, and I was able to step out of my lazy girl era by stepping back into doing what I told God I want to do, like from a pure heart posture, from me just being me, not having any outside filters, just me having an open, honest conversation with God, like, this is what I want to do, and Him putting me to the test, and me passing that test by me walking towards the vision that I have, by thinking about the version of me that God sees me as. And so I am still every single day working towards looking in the mirror and trying to see myself as someone of worth, as someone who is, you know, moving through life as though I know I have worth, as someone who knows what it is that lights her up inside, and she's going towards that, whatever that is, whatever lights me up, whatever sings to my spirit and my soul. I'm going towards that, but I go towards that in partnership with God, because I never want to build anything else without having God at the forefront and presenting it, you know, to the divine. I made that mistake with my Instagram where I built something based on my own willpower. I am the head and I am the lead. And I took it to God and say, I built this, but bless it for me, please. And that did not work. I learned pretty quickly that I don't want to be the leader on anything that I do in my life. I am not equipped to be the lead or the head on anything that I am doing in life. I need guidance. I need the divine's guidance and wisdom to help me through. But think of how loved you are. Think of how amazing you are. Think of how capable you are. Think of how worthy you are. Walk in your worth every single day. And when you know you are a worth and you are seeking to be intentional about walking in your worth every single day, you're going to stay consistent because you are worthy of that consistency. And so I'm worthy of getting through my routine and doing what I say that I'm going to do, and doing things, actively working towards the vision that I have in my mind for the things that I want to accomplish during my experience here on earth. I get that done day in and day out now. I'm not laying in my bed, you know, expecting motivation to just come and drop down from the sky. I had to get up and move my feet to find that motivation, and it was hard. I had to drag myself, but I did it. And now that I know like the key to getting back on track, when you're walking down that dark valley, like when you're walking through that dark tunnel, ain't nobody walking with you. No one's walking with you. That's a tunnel that you've got to walk through yourself. And it may require isolation. It may not be intentional, you being isolated, because it's a journey that only you can walk, and it's a very dark tunnel, and you don't really know where the end is. You just know that you have to keep walking, and I'm still in that tunnel, but I'm walking, and like the sun's shining on me. I've seen the light, so I know I'm at the end, and I feel good every single day I get in the bed. For the past 2 weeks now, I feel good because I did what I said I was going to do, and I'm excited. Like every single day I wake up, I'm excited because once again, I get to be consistent and do what I say that I'm going to do, and I see my vision coming to life. And like Dana says, I follow her on Instagram. I put her handle up. I am a prisoner to nothing and no one, not even my own body. I tell my body what to do, not the other way around. And I also say I'm a prisoner to nothing and no one, not even my own mind. So I have to overcome my thoughts. Once again, replace the version of me that I've created with the version of me that I know God sees me as. And that helps to keep me consistent.